We're going to try to keep this PG-13, so I'm not sure where we're going.
Welcome back to the All In, All On X podcast, where we take you behind the scenes of full arch dentistry, innovation, and the people who are redefining what's possible. Here we go beyond the procedures and into the lives of people shaping full arch dentistry. This isn't just about implants or workflows. It's about the lives we build, the decisions we make under pressure, and the leaders who push this profession forward when no one's watching. Get your head straight, because we're about to go all in.
Today only. Well, there may be a sequel. I'm not going to promise that. There may be a part 2, 3, 5, and 12. Today on the All In, All On X pod, I am joined by my friend, esteemed colleague, Bruce Smoler, DDS, founder of the Smoler Smiles in Michigan. Dr. Smoler, has built a practice rooted in trust, consistency, and long-term patient relationships, because you've been at this a long time, my friend, where your clinical excellence and real world dentistry meet. And today we're going to talk about what it takes to build a durable practice, lead with integrity, because I think you are a person of integrity, and stay relevant in changing profession. So without further ado, I want to get into the legacy of Dr. Bruce Smoler. The All In, All On X pod is brought to you by JB Dental Labs, the elite lab trusted by full arch surgeons, prosthodontists, and digital forward practices internationally. JB specializes in precision full arch restorations, zirconia, PMMA, photogrammetry workflows, and fast turnaround times that don't sacrifice quality. JB delivers a truly digital workflow powered by their proprietary online portal for easy case uploads, real-time tracking, and fast streamlined communication. If you're looking for a lab that understands immediate load, passive fit, and the demands of modern all-on-X dentistry, then JB Dental Lab is redefining what a full arch partner can be. Learn more at jbdentallab.com. Tell them that the All-In, All-on-X pod sent you. How are you, Bruce?
Nearly perfect now, finally.
You look nearly perfect.
Great. You know what? I tell you, if you don't feel good, just change your filter.
Yeah, right? That's what the world has come into.
My gosh.
From a legacy dentist to a modern age dentist. I mean, I don't want to give away your age, like that, because, you're more viral than most of the youth that's coming out of dental schools these days. But how long have you been practicing dentistry?
Since 1987. That's 87.
Oh my gosh. Was that
38? Almost 39 years.
39 years. But you look like a 50-year-old.
How can that be?
What are you doing to take care? Most dentists I know, after they've been at the chair side for 13 years, they look like they're 97. What are you doing to stay fit? What kind of vitamins, peptides, workout? What are you doing?
So truth be told, I started today, had my blood drawn. I'm going to be looking at TRT. So hormone replacement therapy, my free testosterone's too low. Blame Jonathan Theus, blame Adam Marina. I mean, these dudes are like further ahead on the curve. And why feel like 64? Right. I'm 64 when you should feel better.
You look like you feel pretty good. You text me in the mornings. I get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, my friend, and you're already texting me and you're already on your bike or in the gym.
It's crazy, So here's what I tell people. There's a number that has significance to me, and some people will know it. It's okay if you don't. The long number, 86,400. That number represents something. The number of seconds in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you live a purposeful life, where you have a mission, you have a goal, you feel very relevant in what you do, your mindset is every second matters. Because you're on a mission, you're on a course, you have, like you said, a legacy. And to me, it's not so much who I spend my seconds each time on. What's more importantly to me is who I don't even have a second to waste. Person with negative energy. Why even bother? There's people who will remain nameless that I block on social. Why bother? They're not worth a second of my time because it takes away from my goal, my mission, my purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
over the last 5 to 10 years, I've really developed that mindset of living a purposeful life. And when you live a purposeful life, you can't wait for your day to start.
Right.
Sometimes it's 2 in the morning, sometimes it's 4. And so what I did was I used to get really uptight. After triathlons and endurance athlete, my cortisol levels are all over. So I can't stay asleep. I have no problem falling asleep. Boom. I'm asleep. My daughter, my dear daughter, Sarah, without the H, she has a collage of me asleep. There's an Instagram page, whatever, dad's asleep shopping, whatever. Globally, I mean, I've fallen asleep standing up looking at
Wait,
the Sistine Chapel.
wait, your daughter has an Instagram page of you sleeping?
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me what's the handle on this page? Tell me what's going on with this.
Sarah Smoler, no H. And I'm looking for my phone again. Yeah,
Uh,
there is a post, I think, on my birthday or whatever she posted, probably 22 images of me out in a car. We're on the 305 out at Vale or whatever, and it's a snowstorm, and I'm asleep in the car. We're all stopping, the jet lag, traveling all over. I'm in Israel, and I'm asleep at the wheel. I mean, I can't even stay awake. One time, this is an honest to God story. You ready for this?
let me hear it.
I got to go to the restroom. And I'm exhausted. So I'm sitting there on the toilet,
Mm-hmm.
fell asleep on the toilet,
Oh my
woke up,
God.
scared the shit out of me.
Is that the punchline?
I can neither confirm nor
Oh,
deny
yeah.
that that's a true story.
You got me. You're always setting me up for a joke. I love it.
So yeah, let me see. Yeah, she just posted it. She's
Yeah.
always doing this stuff.
I was looking for her. I was looking to show a picture of you sleeping here. I'm looking for one, but I couldn't find her account. Let's let's
Yeah,
let's let's
we'll
get
get
back
back.
into 39. Let's get back into 39 years in dentistry,
So
okay? Because
I was
you're a legacy, my friend.
Yeah.
You're
So my
you're a
dad,
legacy.
my
Yeah.
dad was my first
Yeah.
associate. So we
Wow.
worked together for a number of years.
Hmm.
And we had a buyout set up where we brought in, this was my first business dealing for the most part. So we had Paul come in and act as Solomon to bring me together because to my detriment, I would pay more. To my dad's
Hmm.
detriment, he would accept less. So we brought in Paul. And I learned
Hmm.
a valuable lesson from that first dental business deal.
Okay.
Don't pay as a percentage when you're negotiating a sale and a buy. Just say, it's a transaction. How much for a transaction? So
Okay.
inadvertently, what ended up happening as the price went higher and higher, all got paid more. So
Hmm.
instead of just saying X amount to do the deal and it's a transaction, he got a commission. So
But
I
you
ended up over.
you're negotiating a deal with your dad's practice to buy your dad's practice
So
with
I'm buying my
the
dad's
broker.
practice with a friend. So he was a friend. And this friend was a broker. And instead of me being a little bit more intelligent, I say,
Yeah.
hey, Paul, how much to do the deal?
Yeah.
It was more like he normally does. So he had negotiated a couple of deals with my dad. We had 2 offices at the time. This was my dad started in Westland, Michigan in the 60s.
Hmm.
And it was through the years he expanded. And he was kind of ahead of his time. He had a brand. It was called Community Dental Associates, a
Hmm.
DBA, because he thought that that's how dentistry was going to change. He started, he was around when insurance started. And the big 3, so here's the big deal. In the Motor City, the UAW negotiates single unit crowns, 90% coverage. Everywhere else in the country, it's
Dang.
50%.
Dang. Nice. Look at that.
90%. So inadvertently, shady, other operators would waive the 10% copay to get the
Hmm.
90% from insurance.
Right.
So it was like a boon. It was crazy. My dad had all the records. When he was first starting out, he said, I want to get to know as many people as possible. He saw
Yeah.
patients every 10 minutes and he would
Right.
just do one filling because he said, on average, every time a patient goes to an appointment, they're telling 2 or 3 people. So instead of having one appointment in quadrant dentistry,
Mm.
at the time, it was the dad working. This is the 60s. Everyone else was home. And
That
so
sounds
he
like
would want, go on.
that's the exact opposite mindset of what we're doing now, trying to see
Right.
fewer and fewer patients.
Yeah. So he just wanted to get the word out. So if he has 50 patients crammed in the morning, you've got 50 people telling 3 other people where they're going this morning. Listen, there is no
Yeah.
internet. There is no anything else. It was
Uh-huh.
like, what do you
Right.
got to do? Oh, I'm going to the dentist. Oh, who's
Right.
your dentist? So that was his marketing 50 years ago,
Right. And now
60.
it's not like you can just do Instagram back then,
Well,
like this
here's the
guy
other
here. Look at
thing.
this Bruce Smoler guy. Look at this.
Wait, I'd never seen any of that stuff. Who's
Come
doing
on.
that?
Come
I
on.
I
Look,
so
look at
true
this.
story. Oh, he's a good-looking guy. Oh,
Yeah.
this is me.
This is from way back in the past. That must have been from last week, my friend. Oh, tell me about this.
So,
What's going on here? What is this thing?
some guy named Brandon, he's trying to like rustle up docs across the country.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you, that is something we kind of trademarked. Denture wearers. No stitches, no incisions, minimally invasive. You go
Mm-hmm.
from a denture cripple. And as we say, we've declared war on dentures.
Yeah, me
So we
too.
want people, we want to have them ditch their dentures. And as I say, hold on one second, why glue it when you can screw it?
I love it. Why glue it? And that's your trademark saying? Is that right? Is that what we're saying here?
Well, I prefer ditch your dentures. It's a little bit, more
Uh-huh.
professional sounding.
Why
Yeah.
glue
So,
it when you can screw it?
yeah. Or glue them when you could screw them. Depends on your vernacular.
I think you better
Or
trademark that. When this publishes, man, someone's going to be grabbing that.
the 6 people the 600,000 people. This is going viral. This will probably be the best podcast, at least the one I'm
Probably.
doing today, the best one I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Grant you
If
that.
this goes viral, it'll be like polio completely eradicated.
Yeah, they're going to come up with a cure for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like delete.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell I'm going to have to keep you on track, my friend. You've got a lot of good stories.
So where we leave off. So my dad. So we negotiate the deal.
Okay.
And to my detriment, I paid my dad more because he's my dad. Okay. So the broker who got paid more, he looks at me. And now, mind you, this was 2001. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's July. And he says to me, here's your pro forma. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Yeah.
And sure, you may pay a little bit more. So I'm doing 80% of the production, the revenue.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
forget about sweat equity. Okay.
Right.
Now, in all fairness, I had thousands of hours of CE flying all over, all these residencies, you name it, I did them. And
Mhm.
it was an office expense. So you really can't say I got off scot-free. But the fact is, the broker, Paul, looks at me and says, Bruce, you'll be fine. As long as nothing cataclysmic happens in the world, you'll be fine.
Mhm.
July, August, September, 9/11 was 2 months later.
Mhm.
Every single one of our IV sedation patients canceled. Every
Mhm.
one of our full mouth rehab patients canceled. Uncertainty in the world. Mrs. Jones, why are you canceling? I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? I just don't know. Are we going to
Yeah.
be around next week? And
Oh,
I'm
right, yeah.
thinking, holy shit.
Right.
I just bought this big old office, swallowed it whole, and truth be told, my wife did not agree with the deal.
Mhm. So she
So,
thinks that you've made the biggest mistake of your life.
hold a second. So she said, I don't agree. If that was my father, he would just give the business to my brother for $1.
Mhm.
I said, well, I'm very sorry. My father needs the money. She didn't agree. She didn't sign. So I had to do a non-recourse loan with Sky Financial. And instead of a 7.9 interest rate, it was 10.9
Mm,
with a 2-year collar. So I ended
mhm.
up paying about 28 grand more in interest. And then I wanted to keep the 10-year term. So then I had an accelerated principal payment. So it was a chunk of change each month for 8 years because my
Wow.
wife had, standards. And, if she doesn't agree, and I said, honey, when we said these vows many years ago, it's like, you know, uh, in rich or poor. No, no, I never said in poor.
Right, right.
In richness and poorness. No, 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 you said that, Bruce. I didn't.
Do you think the marital vows are a contract? Have attorneys ever done that in the court of law with the divorce? But your marital vows said, is that an agreeable contract? Probably more
No,
on that.
because anybody who gets married is some level of delirium. So, that's always an out. But
I've
I
been
will
there,
tell
I
you,
guess, twice.
I ended up going to Michigan undergrad 3 years, finished up early, go blue. And I know we got a connection there.
That's right.
Ended up
And I'm
going
3 years as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so then I went to dental school at Northwestern,
Uh-huh.
Chicago, 4 years year round. It was absolutely fantastic. Listen, 20, 21, 22, 23 years of age. And that's where I met Miss Wright. So
Oh yeah.
we
Nice.
kind of knew that, 5 years later, when we got married, I found out that her first name was always Wright.
Bump up. You guys, for those of you that aren't paying attention, drowning it out anymore, that was a joke. This is
That's
always right.
people's, yeah,
Your dad and you paid a guy, a friend of yours, a ton of money. You know how much money I paid for my practice from Truman Baxter? Not how much money I
yeah,
paid for the practice, how much money I paid basically to do the deal with
yeah,
Truman Baxter. I think we both paid about $5,000
yeah,
each. You know why?
yeah,
Because he had a practice valuation, said it was worth, whatever $5 million or whatever it was. And I said, well, this is what it's worth to me. This
right.
is what I can do. And then we had a contract and he handed it to me. He goes, you red line out what you don't like, hand it back to me. We did that. He's red line stuff out, wrote stuff in. We went back and forth like 5 times. We said, are you good? I'm good. You good? Yeah. Let's give it to an attorney and make sure that they write it up and we'll read it again. It was like 5 grand, brokered,
Yeah,
done. And
yeah.
we were both, we both felt like equally kind of happy, but equally kind of screwed. And they
And
say that
which
in
is
the
the
legal
best deal.
world, yeah, they say that
That's
that's
what
the
you hope
best
for.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah,
just two reasonable
no
people going
question.
back and forth. I can't believe you paid a stranger to buy your dad's
Well,
practice, but
you
I mean
know,
a friend to buy your dad's practice.
it's a guy that I trusted. We bought and
Yeah.
sold some practices with him previously, and he's a
Okay.
good guy. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he's doing a service. And I should have said, "Hey, listen, Paul, we're not adversarial. We just need you to help us through it. Here's
Yeah.
7,500. Will you do the deal?"
So that's not bad. 7,500 is
Right.
not bad.
We
Yeah.
didn't do that though.
All right. I want to get into why are you relevant on the All In All on X podcast?
I have no idea. I mean, I have my own thoughts,
I know
but
why. Are you kidding me? Have you seen Smoler Smile Center? Hang on, I got to pull up your website here. Where are
oh, is
you?
that going to be my twin youngest brother?
Oh, wait a minute. No,
Yeah,
I pulled up your well, look at
those
these
are great
pictures.
filters.
Yeah,
Shit.
look at this guy. Got implants. Love it. Here's your Smoler Center.
Yeah,
Are we on Smoler? Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta do something here. Let
yeah,
me
please
switch this
do.
over. Tell me about Smoler Smiles.
So Smoler Smiles is our family and general dentistry business. I got an associate. There's a legacy of being in the community for decades. So at one point, I was frustrated with hygiene. I mean, other people have said that you could be frustrated with a hygienist or an associate in general dentistry. So people sometimes will toy about just doing fixed full arch and implants. The problem is that when we've got a legacy of
We
tooth,
believe.
Go ahead.
where we've been in the community for since the 60s. How can you turn your back on that? So our family dentistry is called Smoler Smiles. We have an associate, we have a hygienist. They handle all the general dentistry. I kind of retired from general dentistry about 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
As you should.
basically it's basically like what you do. You put in implants and you adjust bites. We don't have EFTAs here. So what happens is it's been really nice to be able to do what we do at the level we do it and transform lives. I mean, who wouldn't want that? And it's just so uplifting, so powerful. I view that I'm a guide. I help patients on their journey. Oh, who's that young dude? That
Look at
young dude is our
yeah.
new associate, Dr. Mohi, and he sought us out. He really a great guy. Oh my gosh! And you and I have talked about associates, and it's
Hmm.
interesting. I we just had a connection where he grew up in Baghdad. So you talk with my ethnicity being Jewish, his ethnicity
Hmm.
being Muslim,
Hmm.
and basically it's the same sandbox, just different corners.
That's right. Yep.
Grew up in
Amen.
Baghdad, 7 different countries, landed in Livonia, Michigan, not too far, in high school. So he
Hmm.
then went to dental school. He hated winter, went to dental school out in Arizona, and got to be buddies with Implant Pathways. I shouldn't
Hmm.
say it. Yeah, with Justin Moody. So he's placing
Right.
implants as a dental student.
Nice.
So
Wow.
he
Advanced. Good.
yeah. So there's one other guy I think that had more implants placed as a dental student than Mohi, and that was Tyler Bond. So Tyler Bond, got to give you props out there. He's a good guy, and so he's also a Yomite. So he asked Justin. He says, "I want to move back to Michigan. Who should I, ask for a job?" So Justin Moody is a really smart guy. There's only one office in all of Michigan. It's got to be Smoler. He
Right.
shows up to drop off his CV, his curriculum vitae, and he has these Mideastern meat pies. I mean, the smell going through the office, everyone is starving. I go, where'd these come from? Oh, some guy wants a job. He's hired as long as he brings food.
Oh my God. What a good calling card. Yeah, he knows dental offices well. Bring lunch.
Yeah. So one thing led to another. And at the time, we had our associate, Dr. Alan Olenek, great guy, probably the best associate I've had. And so he was turning 68 or 69 in October. He said, I work for you 3 days a week. I'd like to retire in October. This was like February, March, talking about it. He says, but I don't want to leave you high and dry. As soon as you find someone, I'll stick around until you do. Two
Hmm.
weeks later, I meet Dr. Mee. I said, Alan, I found someone. He goes, oh, that was quick.
So he kind of came to you just kind of, fortunately, gratuitously, right? Just kind of out of the blue. I knew you were looking for somebody for a long time.
Right. We talked about that. So
Yeah.
you and I had
Yeah.
talked, and I was
Right.
really thinking about someone who had an AGD, someone coming from an advanced program,
Sure.
because you either have a guppy who really doesn't know Jack or someone who really knows Jack. And
Yeah.
the
Right.
problem was these people that were graduating from all these advanced general dental program, they already had a mindset that they were taught. They already
Mhm.
thought they knew stuff. They wanted to come out of school and be a full mouth rehab doc,
Yeah.
and that general dentistry was beneath them. They already had their mentors, they already had their mindset, and they were stuck. They didn't have the willingness to expand. And one
Right.
guy was going to locate, he's got a family, what type of guarantees? He says everything right to me. And then my office administrator, Lori, got the bad vibes. I mean, she gets the birthday, she sees their sign, their astrological stuff, she does her juju stuff and with the
Uh-huh.
dolls. And no good juju with that guy. So, Ixnay, the guy from South Carolina or whatever.
Sure.
So Mohi walks in. And so I said to him, I've got to give the loyalty to Alan. He's been with me for 7 years. Here's what I'll do. I know you want full time. I gave Alan 2 days. I gave Mohi 2 days. So Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. Mohi worked Fridays and some Saturdays, picked up some other dates. And then as soon as it was time, we slow rolled out Alan, gave him a
Yeah.
nice goodbye party, and brought in Mohi full time in October.
Hmm.
And we immediately brought him down to Nashville with Dental Success Today with Scott Manning, the management systems with him. We ended up connecting with Dr. Chewy, who's a TMD. He
Hmm.
he did the orthotic for Jared Goff, the quarterback, when he was on the West Coast. So this guy, Dr. Chewy, does like celebrity TMJ and injection therapy. So Mohi, I sent him out to San Francisco for 2 days. Mohi sends me, because he did some Botox and advanced stuff while in dental school and injectables. And so what he did, he sends me a video of him with the TENS unit on to deprogram his muscle. There's a patient in the chair who's getting deprogrammed, and they drew up PRP, and he's injecting the PRF into the patient's joint just out there in San Francisco.
Mohi's doing this now at your
Yeah.
office?
No.
Okay.
So he will, but here's what this guy Chewy will do.
Right.
He'll deprogram a patient,
Yeah.
get him into neuromuscular neutral position,
Right.
and then do PRP injections into the joint that can reform the bony architecture over 3 months. So if your condyles are flattened and the axis of them is skewed and your poles are getting worn down, imagine, it looks like a football on the condyle. It's a little angled in the joint, and it's fibrocartilage, so there's a vasculature. It's not hyaline cartilage.
Right.
And injecting the PRP restructures the joint.
Wow, and he's got evidence of this through repeated
He'll
patients?
do sequential and he'll see bony changes.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna have to look that up. I just had dinner last night with an oral surgeon who does TMJ reconstruction. I need to tell him all he has to do is drop a little PRP in there.
Well, first you have to create the space with
Right.
the Geld 4-7 position to get it down and forward, get the neuromusculars.
Mhm.
And it's like, holy shoot. I mean, Jesus, so now he comes back with all this information. And now we're going to go to Vegas next week for the Orca Symposium.
Mhm.
He's going to be, he's like a mini me, but he's bigger than me. And he just has this willingness. He just wants to learn. It's awesome.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad you got a young, eager millennial. Is it millennial?
Gen Z with a capital GZ. My God.
Yeah. How is
I'll
it working
come.
with the Gen Z?
I said, Mohi, it's 9:00. You're supposed to be here at 8. Yeah, I know. I had to drive my sister to daycare and this and that. What? And yeah. And so then my office administrator, she says to him yesterday, because he's got sort of like bangs, pull up his picture if you can. So he's got the black hair, the bangs or whatever. She looks at him and says, did you hot roll your bangs? To
Roll
curve
the
them.
bangs.
So I didn't know what she meant, but he did. How his bangs, they were like
what
curled.
does hot roll a bang mean?
Your bangs. It's not a singular. So his hair over his. So remember when you used to have hair on your forehead?
Oh, the curling iron.
Yeah. So hot roll. So you have a curling iron, but if you just have a big round brush, I got 2 sisters, you use the brush, not the curling iron. So it's like a roll. And he just had like he'd done up his hair with a hot,
Gotcha.
roll.
So you got
So
let's
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Move
So
it
you
along.
got the associate now.
This segment is brought to you by JB Dental Lab, your go-to partner for full arch prosthetics, zirconia, PMMA, and digital workflow. With a proprietary portal, in-house designers, and an advanced education center, you will experience reliability, precision, and consistency. Visit jbdentallab.com.
Been there October full time. Is he doing arches with you now, or watching you do arches, or how are you going to move him into that?
It's interesting. So I just pay him per diem. He's learning and I'm learning. So it pays me.
He's a resident.
Basically. Boom.
Yeah.
You got it.
Perfect.
So I'm taking him to Guatemala.
Oh, good.
To see how that goes.
Next month?
Yeah.
You're moving fast, my friend.
You know what?
Good.
A mantra in our office is the speed and delivery of goods and services should be as close to instantaneous as possible. Why wait?
I like it.
The implants aren't going to implant themselves.
Yeah.
And it comes from management experts, MGE. Time is right. Let's go.
So very much similar to my marital mantra.
Boom. Sorry, you'll have to reschedule the patient. Eddie Murphy's great line in Trading Places. It was in jail for all those years. And it says, I've been in jail for so long. So that was the karate man. I'm a karate man. I bleed on the inside. It says, I've been in jail so long, it's stiff. win gets me excited.
I do know Trading Places, my friend. For those of you young guys that don't know, you need to look it up. Jamie Lee Curtis. Probably. I mean, I must have been a teenager.
Or was the cop movie something with Detroit? So before Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, that's the
That was
movie.
later. That was much later. That was Beverly Hills Cop, right? Yeah,
Okay.
89, I
Yeah,
believe.
80, yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, back when sequels were actually pretty good.
All right, let's go back to implants, buddy, because there's a lot of people like you and me looking to expand our practices, right? You're the only one doing arches in your office. And then
Right,
you need some help. Like you can't do it forever. You're
right,
64 going on 41 or whatever age you are. And
right.
because you look great, you want to practice forever, but you can't be the only guy doing
There's
it.
the future. There's the
And
future.
you got to build the future. But you have so he's your resident this year. And does Dr. Mohi have any contract stipulations if he takes all this training from you and then you take him to Guatemala and you take him here and you take him there and then he leaves? Or is
Yeah,
it
he could.
yeah.
And you know what? Then that's poor judgment on me.
But no, but I commend you for trust. But is there any like fail safe and anything in writing to like
Well,
pay you back
well,
if he leaves or anything?
no, because we didn't want to get that technical because he's at a rate where if I get him doing full mouth, he's basically doing it as a resident.
Yeah,
So let's say
true.
it's for a year. I
Sure.
spend, X amount of money, 50
Yeah.
grand, 100 grand, whatever that number is, getting
Right.
him to the point where he could then be valuable to me. A certain test that we do as far as psychometry drills. So there's ways that you could check different people's level of either interest or just psychology. And also Lori with her voodoo dolls and stuff like that. She said he's a keeper. So the whole
Good.
point is he's full on board the Smoler Express. He hopped on. He's leading the bandwagon. He's got no problems with that at all for now. Eventually, he wants his own gig. If we do something together, he wants to gain stature. He wants to be part of any type of training program. So he's really all in on many levels. And the
Yeah.
sooner, quicker, faster I can get him more productive and help me,
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
I think so. I think so. And and I don't even know Dr. Mohi, but I know a lot of people like in his position, young doctors coming in with a senior doctor, a mentor, 39 years experience, anybody really with more than 15 or 20 years experience that has become established in their community. My message to Dr. Mohi and young doctors everywhere is you might get some education for a year or whatever. You might get some free, tutelage here, but going out and starting on your own, man, I've seen a lot of doctors struggling. It might be very beneficial to stay with Smoler.
So the whole point is you really have to have a leap of faith
Yeah.
on his end, because I can't tell you how many doctors years ago. So we were building Team Smoler. It was when I was doing triathlons, and I was
Yeah.
trying to find the fastest dentist around, and I found Ryan. This guy, Ryan Rivamonte, oh my God, hard body, incredible. He was a fitness guy. Every endurance race that he ran, so he's a runner, he would do a front handspring over the finish line. So this
Mm.
guy he did his first full Ironman in under 10 hours, which is incredible, qualified for Kona. So anyway, I wanted him to work for me just so that I could have the fastest dentist on any of these races, just for the publicity. He worked 1 day a week, and then I signed him up for all these races, and then COVID hit. So it was just crazy. So, yeah, there's a reason why you want different people, but overwhelmingly, he was telling me he was looking at Aspen, some of these other corporate places, and they have a fast track program, and they tell you the sun and the moon and the stars. The
Sure. Yeah.
reality was they're there. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So you
Right.
really have to go in wide-eyed and understand what it is that you want, what they actually tell you, and who's in that organization that's doing that. Okay, big DSO, you're telling me that this is what I can do. In a year, I'll be doing this. Who's a new grad who's been with you for a year that I can talk to that's doing all the things you're telling me and promising me? They don't
Right.
exist.
Yeah. No, they don't. They really don't. I mean, I've seen them all. But the common misconception, I think, and I just caution, and I'm not trying to discourage any young doctors out there, but people think they're going to come out of dental school and they're never going to practice general dentistry and they're never going to do dentures and they're just going to do full arch. And they go out to Pathway and they come to Atlantic Implant and they go out to whatever, this track and that track, and then they hang a shingle and they find out that it's a little tough to be so niche in just full arch. They hear crickets. And I think there's a lot to be learned in dentistry from staying with a guy like you, Bruce. I had Truman Baxter with me for
Right.
6 years, and he still was up the
Wow.
street, still alive, and he's still up the street and still a good friend. But just to mentor daily, I think that I grew by leaps and bounds because of that.
So let me ask you, so it's not just having photogrammetry?
Yeah, you can't just, all I did was stroke a check for a facial scanner and a CBCT, and all these patients showed up.
And so then the problem is you need the upgraded version?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
need
that's
to
right.
know that the problem is that you're sending out for your prosthetics. You need an in-office mill. That's where you really make the money
Yeah. Well, you talk, I mean,
to
what you're
start
going
out.
with this
To
is like
start out.
when I started at Atlantic Implant Institute, my first course was everybody said, you're good at digital workflow, teach digital workflow. So we opened a digital workflow class and we got a bunch of dentists show up that they thought if they bought $500,000 or $150,000 of equipment that they could just be a all on four prosthodontist surgeon,
Yeah.
and so they lack some of the skills. So we had to open up other modules. But yeah, you can't just buy the equipment and then hang a shingle. I think it's a lot harder than that. So, I would implore Dr. Mohi, stay with you after you invest all this. The
Yeah.
grass isn't always greener. Stay with you, cultivate that relationship.
And
You
and
got,
we've talked. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And you have to have an open line of communication. And the
yeah,
thing that is really cool. So with my business mentor, he said, Bruce, someone like young like that is going to have all these creative ideas and they take up bandwidth in your head. He says the
yeah.
biggest thing that he did, and I do it too, is when you get these ideas, whether it's to do different blood panels or different wellness and different branches with how we want to morph and practice and market. Take those ideas, get them out of your head and write them down. Put them in a Google Docs, just get them out of your head space because then you know that once a week you go back to your vision board, you go back to your idea board. Because if you have something that's just rattling around, your subconscious is like
Hmm.
trying to process it. It knows that it's a undone. So you have something that's done or not done, but there's an undone. So it's like unknown. You have an unknown where it's just subconsciously eating away where, oh, what was I going to do? What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, that great idea. So if you just it's like clearing your cache. You
Yeah.
just wipe it clean. You take all those ideas, you get a system. And I told him this last week for my last mentorship on Friday with Kevin, say, you have an ideas board. Get it out of your head. We'll sit down once a week. We talk about the ideas. This is good. This one's, So my daughter, Sarah, that we talked about often, she's the only one in the family. My son was at Michigan. He's in finance in New York. My wife has a master's from advertising from Northwestern. I've had my single degree, didn't go back for her specialty. And Sarah went back, so she's the only Ivy League, Michigan undergrad, but Columbia Business School for her MBA.
Got it.
And she taught me a lot, just listen to her. And she says, now, near, and far. Is this something you have to deal with now? Is it something that you have to deal with near, or is it far? And then
Hmm.
it's almost like the Eisenhower grid of important, non-important, things like that. But it's also strategic and objective. So is it something that, tactical that you have to do daily? Or is it like strategic where it's long term? And so just by thinking about things in three categories and two classifications, it's just easy to clear your mind, have a system in place because dentists, I mean, imagine this. Go up to a guy who's got a business degree, typical guy, and say, hey, can you run my $5 million a year revenue? I want to give you a small business. Revenue is about $5 million a year, and you'll
Right.
have about 2 hours a week. to manage it. Who wants to do that?
Right.
But dentists are supposed to wear a hat that is an operator. And if you're the owner, when do you run your business? Who teaches you
Right.
that other than your course, The Business of All on X? Thank you. That's how we
That's right.
connected in real life. But yeah, it really is important. So you have to understand there's a time and place, whether it's thinking of ideas. And thank you, Mohi, for your 40 suggestions on how to be famous on Instagram, because he is a Gen Z.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Hey, it's April. It's right around the corner. Do you have any spots left? Is there standing room only?
We can always make room for more standers. Now we have a few seats left. We're filling this up now, though. I'm glad. Yeah, I forgot this is where I met you.
Yeah.
The Business of All on X. Yeah. Hey, we
And
put on a great little program about how to bring in some arches there, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
oh, it's really nice because I find that having someone with all these limitless ideas, and believe me, they're not always good ones, but
Hmm.
keep them coming, because the last thing you want to do is squash his enthusiasm.
Right.
And so you just have to channel it. You have to teach someone focus. And it's just amazing to see the creativity. We've got to get here. Here's a gift I'm going to give everybody listening. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll give you the pictures so it can be inserted. We had a patient that we did a lower arch on, transformation, lower 12 teeth out, 14 teeth out, 6 implants in. And she
Sure.
came back and she says, my husband, my spouse, you know, he's not really pampering me. He's just kind of gruff. You know him. So he's a gruff type of guy. And
Yeah.
what ended up happening, I said to Sally, I have just the thing for you. This
Yeah.
can be applied to any dental office, any type of services. I gave her a prescription that what I prescribed to her was queen treatment. So her spouse, it's dispensed queen treatment
Okay.
24/7. It could either be
Hmm.
for a king or queen or prince or princess,
Right.
and is 24/7, and that she had to be pampered. No cooking, no cleaning, no dusting, that she's going to get pampered. And with the gift of silence, the gift of massages, and foot rubs are optional. And it's good for 2 weeks, and it's to be refilled upon request. So she took this prescription that I gave her and gave it to her husband, and she's filming it. So there's a picture of me with Sally with the prescription that she's going to take home. She gave it to her husband, and he's reading it, and he laughs. This guy never laughs. He says, "Oh, that's funny. That's good."
Hmm.
Guess what he did? They had Thanksgiving dinner. He brought the prescription and showed 45 family members about what we were doing with Sally. Everyone, all eyes on us. So he loved it. And so here, any dentist out there, they want to do something nice for a patient, let's say big filling, a root canal, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're worried, you know what? How would you like to be pampered by your spouse? So here's a magic trick that we do. Our
Yeah.
tagline is where dental magic happens. We'll give you a
Yeah.
prescription to be treated like a queen. We'll give you a prescription. What do you want done? I want him to do the floors. I want him to do the cooking, the shopping. Okay. I'm going to give you a prescription. These are the things that your doctor's orders.
Yep.
Now, I will have to say, I'm not taking any responsibility for anything that is not related to the procedure as far as what you want. No hall passes. I'm not suggesting that. But it's really a cool thing. Anyone listening, that's my pearl to you. My only request is that if you like this idea and you can use it in your business to help you, this Wednesday is the
Got
implant face-off, and please go for the BioHorizon implant system, and your vote is welcome.
Oh, no. You always slide in that little plug. There's always that little joke. For those of you who don't know Bruce Smoler, he's always going to throw in a little touch of inappropriate. The hall pass on the queen. I got it. I heard it. Sliding in the BioHorizon on the, on my pod. Hey, which is okay. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people who learned dental implants in 1980 love the BioHorizon. No, just kidding.
Hey, it's an
You're,
external hex. Is there anything better than an
you,
external
oh,
hex?
I mean, come on, like, I can't say what I wanted to say, but you studied with Mish.
Yeah.
You're a Mishite. You're a Mishite, I'm sure.
For
Is
the
that
time
correct?
being. For the time. I mean, listen,
You
until I knew better.
you practiced right up the street from Carl, right?
And here's the crazy thing, and you probably experienced this too.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great BioHorizon rep that was wonderful. And she used to go out and help me with referrals.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was no one really cared that much about me in my own backyard. Carl Mish could barely fill a room in Michigan, in the Detroit area. He goes to Hong Kong, Singapore, all over the world. He's exalted as one of the founding fathers of modern implant dentistry, but not in Michigan. Crazy.
Well, they
So you could
say you can't be a prophet in your hometown. That's what they say, right?
percent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, it was really amazing. It was a great journey. My mentor was his associate who worked day, day by day with Carl Misch for 25 years. And he was
Okay.
a traveling gypsy doc. Someone didn't ever hear the term of a traveling gypsy implant doc, office to office, just doing surgeries. And then he would pay rent for the general dentist. So Stacy Velakis was great. He really helped me along the journey. I did prosthetics first, then the surgery. And this was all within the first couple of years of being a dentist.
What year?
And
What year? What time frame are we at?
so you're talking early 90s.
90s. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I went out to Pittsburgh for the program.
Mm-hmm.
Prosthetics was here in Michigan. From there, I ended up going down and doing lots of other programs. I did the residency with Mike Picos back when he was out of the rented building, which was next to the the facility, which was what was it? The hospice. It was right next to a
Uh-huh.
hospice place. And it was
Right.
great. So, the Coastal Jaw Center and, learning from Mike and then developing relation. Listen, when you have a passion for what you
Mm-hmm.
do, it becomes a part of you. And I
Yeah.
saw that from my dad.
You've always,
And
you've always, you've always taken education. I mean, you're still taking education. You never stop learning.
well,
I love it.
it's funny is I had that interview with Paul from Dentistry Today. And,
Yeah.
over 6,000 hours of continuing education. And I said the same thing now. I said, I have these in to keep the information in. I got to clear out my cache. I got so much tetrabytes of information. You
Yeah.
forget it all.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable because it's just like being active, whether you're athlete, former athlete, whatever level, you have to move. You have to be engaged. And if you're
Right.
doing something, can
Mm-hmm.
you imagine it's like a slow roll downhill? And it's just terrible. And so you
Mm-hmm.
talked about something very important, relevance. How do you? There's a good friend of mine. He's not as relevant as he thinks he is, and he just sort of missed his prime. Compared to my buddy Steve Rasner, he's been going like gangbusters. He's as relevant today as he was 30 years ago with the Rasner Institute. And
Right.
so, how do you stay relevant? So we talked about young guys and how to align themselves and what's important. Well, how about someone who's been practicing for 40 years or 30 years, whatever that
Mhm.
number is? How do you light that spark? You have
Yeah.
to have a willingness. Think outside the box and you have to be motivated. So I always feel the best is yet to come. Whatever happened before happened. It's like I never look back. It's a foregone conclusion. Whatever happened, it happened for a reason. You can't change it.
It's always
Don't
behind
worry.
you.
Yeah, don't worry about the future. It hasn't happened yet. And that's why you treat today like a gift. That's why it's called the present.
That's right. Yeah, I love it. That's
Uh-huh.
a very, very good one. I think that blast from the past. But I always say to people, if you ever stop learning, you should retire. As soon as you stop learning, you should just quit and give up.
Or you
You're
know
the
what it is? Desire to learn, because you could take a program, you know it, because it's redundant. So it's wanting to learn. You don't
yeah.
always learn. And if nothing else, it reinforces what you've already learned. You go, huh, isn't that interesting?
You
And
just
so
say,
I think it's that thirst.
you think an NFL quarterback gets up in the morning and says, I don't have to practice today. I don't have to go throw some balls. I don't have to go run, throw some routes or something like that because I'm already a professional. I'm just going to sit and I'll probably be the starter next year. No, they got to go back to spring training and they got to go back to practice every day.
Who
You
was
know,
the hardest working basketball player in the 80s? Michael Jordan. Go up early,
yeah,
stay late. Who is the hardest working quarterback? The GOAT, Tom
yeah,
Brady.
yeah. Oh yeah, every in the gym at 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and don't get me started about David Goggins.
That guy's he's a nut. He's crazy. But yeah, I definitely admire him. He's strong as all get out.
Hey, JB Dental Lab is the lab that full arch clinicians trust when precision truly matters. JB combines advanced digital workflows, photogrammetry compatibility, expert design teams, and high strength zirconia to deliver prosthetics that fit, function, and last. Their communication is top tier. Their turnaround times are reliable. Their quality is the reason that so many high volume, all on X practices partner with JB Labs. Visit jbdentallab.com for reliable quality, full arch support. Tell them that the All In, All on X pod sent you.
So there's a room. This is what I learned from Scott Manning. There's a room,
Okay.
the largest room in the world. You know what that room is? The room
What is
for
that?
improvement. So
Okay.
even the best teams out there will always want to get better
Yeah.
because they know it's a journey, it's a process. The day you think, okay, I'm going to check in, you're done. No, because everything around you is built on your energy. And if you show up and just aren't there, and it happens, it's that subconscious vibe, it's that mood, it's that tone I use. I think I'm great every day, but evidently ask my team, well, he's in a mood.
Yeah.
And it's the,
Yeah, they
yeah,
reflect you, everything you do, everything you say. It's a
yeah,
reflection. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. What would you do if Mohi bought your practice today? What would you do? Would you come back to work? Would you
So
keep on
it's
doing this?
funny because in 22, all the guys were around and throwing big numbers and multiples. And
Yeah.
so the question is,
Oh, yeah.
Bruce, you get a big check. And even if it's true, what would you do? I say, I do the same damn thing I'm doing now. There's not
Hmm.
another thing in the world that I would want to do differently, whether I have 1 million or 100 million. It just allows me to do more if I had 100 million than a million. But the
Right.
fact remains is, if this is what your BHAG is, your big, hairy, audacious goal. I mean, your true de toi, your reason, your raison de toi, your reason for living, your reason for
Right.
life. If everything is aligned, you know how simple life becomes?
Yeah.
You don't have to wonder where you're
Right.
going, what you're doing. It's just like
Hmm.
you and your institute.
Hmm.
And I got to give you props. There is a time, and I was there too. How many arches can you do in a day? So it's not
Right.
a person's life that you're changing. It's not transformational life. It's all these, it's, wow, it's like the 7-minute abs, not 7-minute abs. It's 6-minute abs. I could do it in five, name that
Yeah.
tune.
How fast
And
can you do an arch? How many arches do you do a day? How many implants do you do a week or a year or a month? Yeah. It's just,
And it's never the truth. I
no.
mean, I'd like to think it's the truth. I don't keep track of those numbers. Someone asked, with my guided haptic pterygoids, and I
Yeah.
play and Guy Burke, thanks for calling out a little dribble of blood. So I called it, practically bloodless. It says,
Uh-huh.
Bruce, I saw a little blood there, So it was the most recent post, and someone said, oh, so what's your the numbers? How accurate is it, and what's the longevity? How healthy are your pterygoids placed that way? I said, I think they're about 98% successful. What's your success rate? And the guy says, wow, that's probably even better than Holtzclaw. I said, no, the difference is he keeps better records. I have no
Holt,
idea my failure rate.
I talked to Holtzclaw last week. In fact, we'll be airing a pod, and man, that guy does a ton of pterygoids, I'm
Everything.
sure. But his success rate is probably 100% because he leaves. He's gone in 3 hours on a flight
Yeah.
out of there, and he'll never pull out a bad one. I'm teasing, but so I know you're dying. You threw in you got it in there, the haptic robot. You threw it in. I knew you. I'm gonna let you spew because okay, we can talk about it a little bit. That's fine.
It's, you know what?
You
There's,
love the robot, and I think the robot's great. And I'm doing x-nav. Talk to me about the robot. Go ahead.
so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, I saw something that I had no idea what the hell it was. And I called up my buddy, my guru.
It
It's,
was probably a hemorrhoid, maybe.
yeah, it was Chuck Jenko, also known as Hemorrhoid. No, so
Okay.
Chuck Jenko, one of the smartest guys I know. And
Yeah.
I knew him from his Bonnadent days. So great guy, check him out. So now he's with Nobel and traveling the world. Called him up whenever there's a question. He says, oh, that's the Yomi. I said, what the hell is a Yomi?
Mm-hmm.
So I got further along and Anthony signed me up. And this was before the FDA approved a full arch application. I signed the paper with a caveat. I'm only going to go ahead with the financing and purchase it if it's FDA approved at the October launch for full arch applications.
Right.
So my wife says to me, she says, Bruce, who in their right mind buys a robot in the middle of a global pandemic?
Yeah.
So I raised my hand. I said, that would be me. I said,
No. Go
okay,
ahead.
so that disclaimer. So
Yeah.
it was kind of wild. I ended up getting onboarded in February of 21, and my staff did not like it initially because there's a learning curve.
As with
And
everything.
right,
Your first scanner, whatever, everything.
right.
Yeah.
So I actually was a KOL with BioHorizons, so I had to learn all the different things. I'm doing stackable guides and the guided restorative solutions with Vulcan and Ferguson, great guy down there. And of course, Todd Strong and Steve Bogan. So, great people with the company, and we'll talk more on Wednesday. But I could see the application. So for 5 years, I was looking at how we could utilize it, how we could highlight it. And technically, more precision will actually be required in single placement than
For
full
sure.
arch. 100%. But it's
Always.
nice knowing that I can place implants in an AP direction. So it's really a guide. So digital planning is critical compared to
Yeah.
just brain guided because it tells you first, it's like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where first thing you build it in your mind and you create it before it becomes in realities. So
Proper
it's really
planning
nice.
prevents piss poor performance, right? Everything is all about planning. Yeah.
And to me, what really was incredible was haptic guidance. So the best thing about x-nav is that it really helps you align things. It's a dynamic system. Any system that's not dynamic, so a static guide, a stackable guide, throw that crap out. It's bullshit. So x-nav or Yomi are wonderful because you could change on the fly.
Yeah.
Now,
For sure.
the nice thing to me is the business model from Neosys has changed. I paid a ton of money 5 years ago. The new Gen 2, the Yomi S that's coming out is basically half the price. My monthlies are going from $6,000 now to $4,000. Unlimited osteotomy. So there's myths out there that it costs money per drill that you place and hole that you drill. So they've made improvements. And to me, it's really, really amazing.
I think it's a great piece of equipment for sure, and just to, highlight with x-nav, where I'm at, just the ability to pre-plan. So, I mean, I'm a huge freehand guy. Everybody knows, I was teaching brain guided surgery for years and doing it for 20 some years, brain guided surgery. But when you throw something like dynamic guided navigation in your hands, everything gets better and more predictable. And what kills me is they sell x-nav as a surgical tool to place implants.
It's
And
prosthetically as well.
when I got it in my hands, I said, yeah, like I don't have any problems placing implants. I get great primary stability. The best thing about this tool is better prosthetics. My MUA channels are freaking awesome. And
Yeah.
now my pterygoids, when I'm using x-nav, instead of like looking back and, like Juan always says, like torque is torque. If you get torque, you hit the pterygoid. And,
Yeah.
when you hit the 40 torque or the 45 torque and you get a little disappointed, and then you look later and you're in the middle of the uprights, right? You're not hugging the pyramidal process or the medial pterygoid plate, and you're like, oh shit. And then those are the pterygoids you end up losing sometimes. And when you do dynamic, or I'm sure like you would probably agree when you're doing robotic, when you're doing dynamic guided with x-nav or the robotic, man, I'm slam against that pyramidal process and medial pterygoid plate every time.
Right.
And you can't argue with it. So it's like, it's like the people that said, well, I don't need photogrammetry because I'm doing just fine with my little resin and my jigs.
How about loops? I see fine. Why do I need loops? Give me a break.
Why do I need a second eye? I've got one. I mean, like
why do I
people
need
that are
gloves that got skin?
Wait, we have to wear gloves?
Just on the suspected patients.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my buddy, he's retired now, so no harm. He's been retired for a long time. But Truman, when I first came in, he wasn't using gloves on everything. He'd only use gloves, he'd say, if we expected it to be really bloody.
Really bloody. Yeah.
Really bloody.
100%. I used to hang out at a buddy's office, a real nice guy, RV, and he was an oral surgeon. I was friends with his daughter. And what ended up happening, great oral surgeon, loveless. And so I used to just hang out to see what it was about. And back in the day, so we talked about business and my advice. So second generation, you think you're coerced at an early age, or you're, as a young kid, they're singing, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth nursery rhymes or whatever. Or they, pre-plan you to be a dentist. All my dad said was, try to be your own boss. And because he was in the Army as a captain and someone outranked him, and if that person had a bad day, you're going to have a worse day. So I took that to heart. I liked the idea of lasers, so I thought ophthalmology was cool. I thought, wow, hearts are kind of interesting. Oh, could you imagine the commitment it would take to be a cardiothoracic transplant surgeon? Awful. And so I decided dentistry and perio. So I took a year deferment, got accepted to the program at Northwestern. And 1 year became 2 and 2 became 4. And a good friend, the first dental friend I met in the industry was my buddy Mark. And Mark said to me, Bruce, if you take enough courses and training, you can become a generalist and help more people. And he was really one of the impetus, the people that really pushed me to learn as much as I could. So I never went back to be a specialist. And you know what? I can't imagine how my life would be if I was, we had the conversation with our buddy Dan, our new best friend Dan from Nobel, where he says he's a gum gardener and referral-based specialist.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Back when I went to school, and I'm sure you too, if you wanted to be a specialist, you were told that if you go down that specialty track, that's all you can do. So if you want to be a periodontist, and I looked at oral surgery and perio, and they would say, well, if you do that stuff, you cannot do prosthetics. If you do prosthetics, you cannot advertise yourself as an oral surgeon, because when you advertise yourself as an oral surgeon, you basically have to focus only on surgery. It'll be against the law of the ADA to take an impression on an implant. And I went, you know what? I kind of like doing I love the prosthetics, and I love the surgery. So I guess I'm just going to stay just a dumb general dentist, I guess. But I'm going to take all this education and I'm going to learn it all. And now it's a little different. Now it's like you see, the periodontist is taking an impression or now a scan of the implant and just sending the file to the GP. Who just orders the whatever. Anyway, it's different. But I'm with you on why I didn't specialize. Same reason.
Well, I'll tell you a story. It was a couple years ago. I'm out west in Snowbird, taking Dan Callum's course. By the way, Lincoln, I'll see you in a week or two out in Vegas. It was Rocky Mountain program or one of his seminars. And a couple guys I know, I think Matthew Fine was talking about BioExclude. It's made
Shout out
with
to
love.
Rocky Mountain Tissue Bank, by the way. Rocky Mount. I don't. They're not paying us anything, but that's the only bone I put in the sinus. But go ahead.
Okay. So there I am, and I'm showing Matthew this case that I did because we use BioExclude
Mm-hmm.
on the membrane to hold it out of the way of the channel as I'm putting a zygomatic cheekbone implant. They're not for the mandible, just to, lay it out there. And so I'm standing there with him, and there's a third guy standing there. And I'm showing him the zygo, and he says, "Wait, you do zygos?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Wait, you're a general dentist." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah." And he looked at me and said, "F you." I go, "Excuse me?" "Yeah." And F me for being an oral surgeon. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do shit. I can't do a crown. I'm limited. And here you are placing zygos, and I can't do anything, and you can do everything. And
Right.
so and he was just out of a residency, just beat up like hell and working
Yeah.
for a group, doing all the call, taking all the weekends. And he's once again the low man on the totem pole. And
Right.
it's really sad that you have people who just were misled or maybe things were misrepresented, because the truth is, if you get trained and if you're qualified, and I don't have enough initials after my name, okay, fine. So that excludes me from some podiums. But the fact of the matter is, we can help more people. And front
Mm-hmm.
to back, beginning to end, it's incredible. There's not a
Yeah.
day goes by that I am not thrilled I stayed in general dentistry.
Me too, for sure. I'm ecstatic about it. Oh, and it's got its pro and cons, and
Like
I mean, because
everything,
people look at you and they go, well, you haven't done the program that, and paid your dues in the program or whatever. And
or did a
there's
core, yeah,
podiums that,
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely podiums that exclude. I put in abstracts to speak on some podiums, but I can't get there because I'm not a prosthodontist.
Specialists.
And
Yeah.
does that hurt? Yeah, a little bit, but I'm doing just fine here.
You'll survive.
So
You're struck. Yeah.
I know who I am. And truth be told, not, I mean, if you get the education, like you said, and, you've proven yourself and you're doing good work and you're fixing and you're not having complications as often, but you're fixing your own complications, then go for it, and get
So
it done.
it's interesting. So here's the thing that people have to realize. Here, hold on one second. Can you see this? That's
Yeah,
that's Mohi giving hold on, giving his injection.
cool. Yeah. For the TMJ that we talked
Yeah.
about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to share that. But here's what happens. There's going to be jealousy, there's going to be envy, there's going to be stuff that happens. And so
Mhm.
GPs who are now treading on water that, was not necessarily in their lexicon, in their dictionary before, you're going to piss people off. And so what ends up happening is you have to be prepared for that. I was at a program, and there's a specialist there, and he doesn't do zygos. Why? The complications. And are
Sure.
you prepared to do the complications? You should never do anything. You can't handle the complications. And so he starts railing me at a lunch table, trying to goad me into saying I'm doing something unethical if I
Mhm.
can't handle the complications. I go, "Oh, you mean so? Let me ask you a question. If I'm a resident and I've got a problem and all of a sudden there's an infection that's related to something that, is going on, am I the one culturing it? Am I the one that's going to take over for the IND, the infectious disease guy? No. All you have to do is recognize a complication, understand the severity, and make the proper call to get
Yeah.
that patient where they need to be. So this guy was just blowing smoke up everyone's ass, trying to intimidate people not to do implants, not to do zygos, not to do all these things. And it's just scaring people. I go, that's
Yeah.
interesting. If you've got this type of problem, you're not draining the culture and running it. You get them to the infectious disease guy or the
Yeah.
NT. Are you doing a balloon angioplasty? Ridiculous.
Yeah. I think it's important. For the listeners out here, I don't want to overgeneralize. There are specialists who definitely respect what GPs can do.
1000%. It's a rare situation.
And there are definitely GPs that are over, treating beyond their scope for sure.
They need more the Atlantic Implant Institute training.
Obviously need more of the Atlantic Implant Institute training. But, I've got here, full implant choice, my practice. I've got a half a dozen oral surgeons that refer full arch work to me to do surgically. They know that we do a great job. They've seen our work, and they think that it's great. And they might get a case from somebody. They just don't want to do full arch anymore. But there's also oral surgeons I've met that, they look at me side eye and they tell me that they think I'm mismanaging my practice. And one oral surgeon told me recently that because I don't work with other offices and I do everything internally, I'm probably hiding my mistakes. And just assuming that people are getting hurt. One guy, but people can learn, they can be trained. One oral surgeon once said to me, he said, "You're doing Zygos?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What gives you the right, or why do you think that you have the ability, or you should be doing Zygos," or something like that? And I kind of was taken aback, and I took him through some of my training and where I've been and what I know. And he's kind of looked at me skeptically. A year later, he's one of the guys that sends me all on X work when they need Zygos.
Crazy.
Right? So, he just doesn't want to get into it. He's like, "I just don't want to get into doing that." So so I don't want to overgeneralize. I mean, there's
100%.
Both sides,
Yeah.
so
it's just, I obviously have a chip on my shoulder. It's a trigger because, people will say things about my practice in this area. I did a search from the local reps as far as Strawman, Neodent, Southern, JB, Norris, which other implant system am I missing with the Zygos? And I was asking about
SIN 360, SIN.
Oh, yes, absolutely, SIN. So what happened was I wanted to know who else was doing Zygos and to what level in the Detroit area, Metro Detroit area. And I just had a blanket question. I go, "Hey, guys, are there more dual sinus grafting going on out there?" Or because I just wasn't sure 5 years ago how doing Zygos would be received. East Coast, there's a lot of delayed implant, not necessarily teeth in a day, same day temporaries. West Coast, there seems to be more of a preponderance where people rarely not load an immediate single implant, just different cultures, whatever. So there's more temps and Essex retainers, let's say, or bonded temps on the East Coast. It's just whatever. So I got railed by this one guy, and he says, "What gives you the right to say that what we do is right or wrong?" I go, "Dude, what's up with that? All I'm wondering is how many colleagues of mine, GPs, specialists, do Zygos on a regular basis in the Detroit metro area?" And not many, so the ones that do a higher volume, which is great. But here's a tip. We ended up doing a special marketing program. The URL, Zygos by Smoler.com. And through our LinkedIn, we've got an amazing woman who's our SEO queen. Social Connect is her DBA. It's Badia Kumanali. She does a fantastic job. Set up a drip campaign on LinkedIn, and we had a special program about 3 years ago. We run it about every 6 to 9 months, and it's geared for general dentists. It's geared for people who would have a patient go through sinus grafting. And it's a link to zygosbysmoler.com. So it's a whole program about how to do Zygos. And here's the crazy thing. You and I both know we could do a trans sinus, what's a reverse zygo, and you don't have to always do a quad zygoma. So quad cases, I think, are like the terminal option. And it's nice to have the training down in Guatemala to learn there's other options available. I never did
from my zygomaniac friend, Marcelo, down in Brazil. There's training all over the place. Well, the important thing is to have all of the tools in the toolbox, right? You've got the pterygoid, you've got the zygo, you've got the palatal approach, you got the transsinus, you got the transnasal, you've got 3 different ways to put in a lateral. I mean, it's
custom implants now. custom designed implants for every subs and
There's like at
whatever.
least 27 positions to place an implant in the maxilla, and it's, you just got to know them all. And, I think, Zach, I had Zach on here a couple weeks ago, and he's a
Yeah.
Zygo king. He's crazy good at Zygos, but he's
What
always,
a nice
like
guy.
me, going to avoid him if he can. Yeah, oh, he's the
Yeah.
best. Yeah, Zach Brown. We're talking about Zach out in Kansas City for sure.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And
Yeah.
the stuff he does, wild. Yeah.
I watched him do TMJ surgery once, and he was just incredibly proficient and competent. It was amazing. In fact, if I had a TMJ patient here, I'd be like, hey, maybe you should go look at Kansas City. I'm in Virginia
100.
Beach. I don't think it's too far to go. I've tried to refer him a couple patients already. Well,
So a
man,
couple things that I don't know how we are in time, but one of the things I wanted to talk about
let's go.
and see how this fits with your timeline. Gen Z's, new recruits coming out. Okay.
Okay.
A buddy of
Yeah.
mine, Paul, and I were talking, and he's the editor in chief of the largest magazine in dentistry. It's not the Teeth Express. That's our patient, BioHorizons. But I'm not sure. Is in top? Wait, well, who's this top doctor magazine? It's somewhere, but
Uh-huh.
it was crazy. He's talking to deans of dental school.
Okay.
This is what I was going to tell you. I was waiting for us to be on the pod. Dental school students, their teacher, their professor, why do we have to know how to read an x-ray? AI does that for us.
Here, you knew this was coming.
Why do we have to know how to read an x-ray?
Yeah. Why do you have to learn how to diagnose anything?
Right. Well, that's the next, and pretty soon the robot will be able to drill it or create new ones from DNA from their toenail. But, what do you say to that?
What do you? I mean, first of all, there is AI out there that's reading caries, and I was just listening to a pod
Overjet
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, on what is it called? Paradigm or Parody? I can't remember. There's one I was listening to, and it can totally find caries, and I get it. I mean, it's going that way. I guess.
So here's what happened, and it's funny. There's an analogy, and I don't know if it was actually on the All In podcast or where they were talking about it, where Gen Zs in particular. It was a military trained, new recruits coming in, and they're talking about survival skills and that they'll have to read the stars and understand where they're at by not using GPS. So the one recruit, it was insubordination. And you could see the drill sergeant with his eyes were popping out. And the guy just says, well, why do we have to know where we're at with the stars and, figuring all that out when we have GPS? And so the one guy calmly said, well, what if your comms are down? Yeah. So I guess we have to know how to do it manually or analog.
Yeah.
And then he was all in. And so so Gen Z, certain people, here's the telltale sign. How do you answer a phone? So show me how you answer a phone. Are you answering it like this? Or are you answering it like this? If you're in the digital age, your phone, your cell phone is your phone. If it's a landline, hello, people say, what the hell is this?
Well, going back, okay, so military, I was Marine Corps. You better know how to handle yourself in the woods with no power, okay? Or in the desert or on, a boat with nothing running. That's just survival
skills
101.
101.
You better know how to do that.
Cast away with your Wilson.
I got taken aback with this generation when I was out on the bay a couple months ago on the Chesapeake Bay here in Virginia Beach. We were fishing and I was running the live scope. I was running the live feed looking at for fish, and I had my son and couple of his friends on the boat, and I was like, "Hey, fish, 3:00," and they looked at, not my son, but the other two looked at me and went, "What?"
What?
I went 3:00, fish, 3:00, and they're like turning around. I was like, guys, 3:00, no clue, and they're 19, 20, 21 years old.
Do they know how to read a analog watch or just a digital watch?
No, they've never. I tried to explain to them. I'm like, hey, remember, the watch? And they're like, my watch with the numbers on. I'm like, Did you have a
The
did you have
big
a
hand, the
clock in
little hand?
school? No clue. No clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, how are
It's
you gonna get by?
so we had a patient yesterday where taking out we're building a better denture patient. And so we're taking out some teeth and there's a bridge and a 3 unit bridge and like a 12 unit bridge that's lasted longer than you would ever imagine it did. And so I said,
Mhm.
okay, let's tap it off. He goes, okay. So we have the manual slider and it just wasn't working as well. So, okay, let's get the pneumatic. Says, what are you talking about? And so I've
Mhm.
got two clinical teams that have been with me 10 and 12 years. And so they knew where it was. You hook it up to your your hose, and it's pneumatic.
Yep.
Step on the
Right.
pedal, you push a button, and it's an impact hammer. And sure enough, boom, 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 it comes right off. He goes, oh my God, that's the coolest thing in the world. I've never seen something like that. I sure as hell hope in the 38 years I've got on you that there might be one or two things I might know that you may not.
Yeah.
That's what it
For
is. Yeah. Yeah.
But, what do you want to? What can you say to the young guys and gals out there um, that experience gives you that education just can't quite teach? What do you think? 39 years, man.
Yeah.
There's
So
not a lot of people who are as active as you. I wanted to just take a minute to give you some kudos. You are so digitally inclined. You're so advanced prosthetically and surgically, and you continue to learn year in, year out, month in, month out at 39 years in. But what has experience taught you that you just haven't been able to learn in a classroom?
don't believe the headlines. Don't believe other people's headlines. Stick to who you are. Clear your plate of all the mishigas, the crap that just like clouds your judgment. And if you live a purposeful life, if you feel relevant because it doesn't matter if you're doing the best goddamn MOD fillings and you take pride in what you do. You could be held in high esteem and high regards, no matter who you are. You could be the trash man, but you take pride in what you do. You should have a desire to raise the standard of your living. How well you live, how well you take care of your possessions doesn't mean if they're a new car or an old car, you value what you've earned. And you understand that part of the success to move ahead is helping the people around you. People don't need a handout, they need a hand up. So when you look at the culture of the military, why would the guy next to you lay his life on the line for you? Because you would do that for him. Simon Sinek. It's really having a value goal-based organization where people buy in, whether or not it's big, hairy, audacious goal and you want to change the world and it's a moonshot, or it's just being the best you can to help the patients in front of you. And you soon learn that you don't know jack in 4 years of dental school because you're only in the clinic 2 years. So you really have to suck it up for a couple of years and, kiss some toads and get your speed up, understand how it to manage life as a dentist. I still feel it is the greatest profession I've ever learned. And I am so damn fortunate I didn't go into medicine. How many dentists that are at our level doing what we do would do it again in a heartbeat? Vis-a-vis the medical physicians, they would never tell their friends, family, neighbors to be in medicine again unless it's private practice and you got a boutique or very niche in what you do. But
Mhm.
you want to help people. And I think that you just have to find a path. There's so much noise out there, and it's too easy to get sucked into the latest TikTok trend. Look what this guy's doing. Look at them. And then, you know what? It's all bullshit. Never
Mhm.
judge, never compare, live your life. And that's really what it comes down to. If you feel deficient in something, find a mentor. Ask questions.
Hey, if today's conversation is pushing you to think differently about full arch dentistry, that's exactly why we built the Atlantic Implant Institute. This isn't just a weekend course or a set of disconnected modules. The core continuum is a purpose-built curriculum. It's designed to develop full arch surgeons and prosthodontists, not just expose you to a little content. From boot camp fundamentals to advanced prosthetics and digital workflow to remote anchorage and FP1 philosophy as well, we teach you structure, judgment, predictability, didactic, hands-on, type it out, live patient cadavers. We teach business thinking required to make it all work in real practice. There's nothing like it anywhere in the country because this was not built to be common. Learn more at theatlanticImplantInstitute.com.